All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Handcrafted podcast. I am your host, Cam, a.k.a. Coolest Kid Out. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you are a returning listener or a subscriber, welcome back. For those of you who aren't in the know, Handcrafted is a conversational series where I have informational and inspirational conversations with my friends about how they were able to not only build their craft, but find their passions, find their purpose. This episode that we have coming this week is also dear and special to my heart.
Yeah, talk that talk.
As I feel like I'm gonna say something like that for all of these, but this one in particular is just so near and dear to me, as I have one of my best friends.
Talk, keep going.
My brother.
I don't get this start off. Keep going.
Community builder,
Yep.
extraordinaire. Best event thrower.
Wow.
And you know if that's coming from me.
This how we start. All right, cool.
You know, if I say that, there's some stake behind that. You know, big tech, as the former leader of the nation would say, he works in big tech, but just a man with so many accomplishments, but more than that, just so much heart. A man that's rich in spirit, rich in knowledge. My brother, Charles Kuykendoll, welcome to the show.
What's up, Cam? I'm happy to be here. That was a hell of an introduction. That's the nicest thing he has ever said to me in like 8 years.
Yeah, because we
can
camera.
get to the history. That was kind. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
Yo, thank you, brother.
Cheers,
man.
is a nice couch.
Dave
Chappelle Dave Chappelle talked about couches once upon a time. I ain't gonna do it. But you know what I want to do.
But you don't got muddy shoes. You can't do that. You don't walk nowhere. You don't got no muddy shoes. But man, it's a blessing to have you here, man. We thank you. As I told the people, we want to have just these inspirational and informational conversations, which we do on a regular basis, and let's just get into it. I start each episode with the same question to everybody, because it just gives me a picture and almost like a microscope into you, the person who you are and how you came to be. And I wanted you to walk me back to Charles at 7 years old. I know where you are, but just tell the people, where are you? What's around you? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What's your environment like? What are you into? What aren't you into? Because at 7, I say 7, it's not random.
Yeah.
I say because you kind of have an idea what the world is, right?
Yeah.
Like you have your established relationship with your parents. If you have siblings, you kind of know how that works. You're in school, so you know what it's like to be around other kids, teachers, things of that nature. So just walk me to Charles at 7.
Wow, 7 years old. Charles is on the west side of Chicago, living with the most fire mom anybody could ask for,
Man.
but also having the most active dad anybody could ask for, but in separate households. Having I was about to have another mom here pretty soon, if not already. I don't know the exact day my dad got remarried, but my mom is my other mom. And having crazy familial support, but having like a brother who's 16 months older than me, literally be on the brink of just becoming a legend.
Yeah.
So everything that I saw, everything that I did was to mimic him, and really just push me to be older than I probably actually was. At 7, we're in the midst of like poverty, not really knowing it. And yeah, just like coming honestly from like the gut. Like I did not know how bad I had it until I looked back. Like Chicago, West Side, drugs, prostitutes on the corner, you name it. That was where we lived. That was where we got to it. And it literally was the start of making me who I am today.
So I want to talk about just in that time frame for you, right? You touched on the familial piece of it, right? So someone meeting you, they would assume that you had a traditional family style, right?
Yeah.
Like mom and dad been together, siblings and all that. But your family situation was a little different.
Yeah.
And I feel like with other people, that might have been a detractor or have them lacking. I feel like someone like yourself, and forgive me if I'm speaking out of turn, I feel like it made you an even well-rounded and fuller individual by having not only your mother, your biological mother. Shout out to Chi-Town Tina.
Chi-Town Tina, what's up? Follow her at Chi-Town Tina.
At
She all
Chi-Town
about the
Tina.
IG.
Listen, love you, Mom. And then you have your father, who is pouring into you like crazy. You have your brother. So just like, what was that family dynamic like for you growing up?
I mean, the family dynamic to me was just crucial. Like, in the way that I operate now, I realize how those Monopoly games growing up and, you know, sitting there playing spades, being forced to be taught beer whist by grandma, like what that did for me as an adult. You bring me back to that time, like in the moment, you know, you're annoyed by it. Like you want to do other things. You want to be with friends. You want to do X. You want to do Y. You want to do Z. You want to just be in the basement, just away from everybody. But like, that music, that sitting in the back seat, you know, listening to Anita Baker. What does that do for a 7-year-old when you want to listen to, honestly, I was more like Backstreet Boys, TRL than I was One of Sister Park. You know what I'm saying? But like what that did to create the person that you guys kind of see and interact with today. So, I mean, family is my core. That nucleus is what's so important to me. And again, a lot of my upbringing really drove my ambition, but it's just like, it is ultimately to provide for the family that I have now. And I know my mom made crazy sacrifices. Like, I've never seen this woman just work one job. My mom has always had at least 2 to 3 jobs. My dad, he has always been there. Like, I didn't realize how great of a dad I had until I got older and like to college, honestly, because I was like annoyed by this, man. I was like, dude, like leave me alone. Stop trying to pick us up on the weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I want to stay home. But dad always wanted to be there and show up. And it wasn't just all about finances. It was like, yo, being there, being active, being at every game. Like, I did not value that until I got to college and saw how other people had. And I was like, damn, I got a good daddy. You know what I'm saying? So it was just really important to now, as you ask questions like this, be able to look back and think about how much, you know, that time in my life really helped my development and the things that I'm just seeing and doing now. Like, all of that just goes back to Chicago West Side. And that's why I just rap it forever, despite my LA hat.
Nice.
I mess with LA. LA's a good life.
You can't,
cheers to LA, though. Cheers to LA. I love LA, but no. I'm shots out all day.
You can't hide the Chicago in you if you wanted to. And I think that is just so... That, like, anybody that I meet from Chicago, we say the same thing. Like, you from Chicago. Like, I just know. And I think, like, there's something so unique about Chicago and about coming from Chicago. Like, just the soul of the city. Like, you guys are a little different, you know? You know, wherever you go, it's just, like, a little different. Talk about that a little bit. Like, growing up, what was attractive about Chicago to you? Like, what were you seeing when you had your family, but you had to go outside, right? You had to go to school, you wanted to hang out. What were you seeing that you could say influenced you?
I mean, Chicago as a city, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's such a dichotomy between the different neighborhoods, right? So the West Side, where I grew up, you know, pre-gentrification, like, as I said, the gut. Now, we had, you know, a new constructed building. I'm not about to sit here and act like I had absolutely nothing. Like, I don't know how my mom did it. I say my mom's a hustler, but she was able to get a new house, but we were the nicest house on the block. But at the end of the day, like, we went on the block, bro. But then you go 5 train stops and you downtown in the most immaculate, beautiful city in the world. And I say that having, you know, been well traveled. Like, I've been to some cities. Chicago is the most beautiful city in the world, in my humble opinion. So it's just like the wealth gap, like the just different vibes that you get. You could go to Harold's and Uncle Remus and get the best of the best hood food. You know, where you got the gate in between and the bulletproof glass and they turn it in order for you to get your food. And then you could go to Laurie's Steakhouse, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Get wined and dined. So I seen it done it. Like, we only got that meal one time a year on your birthday. You know, it ain't like how me and Shireen living now, just going on a Tuesday. Like, it was one time a year. You pick the restaurant you want to go to. So mom was trying to make sure we got exposed to that downtown Chicago life, even though we was in the mix of the, you know, on the day-to-day, we eating Uncle Remus, we eating MacArthur's and that sort of a thing. So it was important just for me to see, like, hey, you know, you can be multifaceted. You know what I'm saying? You can turn it on, be that downtown vibe and go get your Lacoste and that sort of a thing. But also, you know, you can have respect around the hood. You know what I'm saying? So that was really, really important foundationally. And even having that nicest house on the block. I remember my mom's a cook. You know what I mean? She gets busy. We just ate.
She does get busy. She does get busy.
And when we moved to this one particular house, like it was drug dealers on the block, whatever. She came out, made them places like, yo, these my sons, make sure they good. You know what I'm saying? Like that's bold, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like you hear that in movies, but like she did that. She did that. Our house, the night that we moved in on the back, not on the front, but on the back step, it was some defecation. It's like a welcome gift to us. Because it was a nice build, defecation outside, bro. So like they didn't want you there. They didn't want that.
Done.
You know what I'm saying? They
intentionally
left.
There.
You know what I'm saying? So it was just wild. So my mom just going out there like, yo, take care of me, take care of the house, take care of these boys, make sure they good. And it was just beautiful to just like see and know how to move in those spaces and give respect, but also be able to, again, like I said, have like that downtown vibe as well.
So you're learning at a young age, you're learning to have an appreciation for things. You're learning also from what you're saying from your mom. You're learning how to move, right? And like how to navigate different environments, right? So like whether it is the downtown steakhouse or the steakhouse in the Loop. I know a little bit about Chicago.
Or you seen a few things.
Yeah, I've seen a few things. And it is, to me, like you put it perfectly with like dichotomy, which is something that plays a huge part in your life even to this day.
Absolutely.
And learning how to do that. So you have an appreciation for things. You're learning how to move. At some point, you got to go to high school, right?
Yeah.
And in high school is where you're starting to really form into the person that you're going to be, and you know, basically for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
What in high school, like, what does your friend group look like in high school? Like, what does your circle of friends look like in high school?
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. So. Elementary, like I said, my brother was like a child prodigy genius. So he got into like this school, Mark Sheridan, very good. I actually skipped a grade. He skipped a grade too, so we were always advanced. I probably should not have gotten into Mark Sheridan, but on account of him being so fire, they were like, let little bro into Mark Sheridan. So we were like in the same school growing up, but when we got to high school, it was like, all right, I don't want to be Maurice's little brother no more. I want to go someplace else. And so we were exposed to different cultures in elementary school because it was like a magnet school, whatever, you learn different things. So my friends were white, they were Asian. I was an MTV kid. I loved NSYNC. I loved Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera. All of why such a wide variety of music now. Like I wasn't listening to none of that stuff. I wasn't watching Belly. Like Shireen trying to make me watch these hood movies now because I didn't see that growing up. Like we were just completely in like a whole different bubble because of where we went to school. So when I went to high school, it was more of like an urban school. It was Lane Tech, Lane Tech, phenomenal school because I couldn't test into the school my brother was at, but also didn't even want to go. Whitney Young. If you from Chicago, you know Whitney Young. That's where everybody went. But I went to Lane Tech, and there was a very interesting experience because, like I said, I have multicultural friends. So when I got to high school, I was trying to align with just different cultures. So I started with like the Latino group. I was trying to hang out with the Latinos. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know, like in Chicago, it's probably a little problematic. Like we thought everybody was like Mexican. And so it wasn't until I got to high school, I was like, oh, you Mexican? Like, no, I'm Dominican. No, I'm Cuban. No, I'm this. Like, who are you? So I got ousted by the Latino group because I was just unknowledgeable. Because when I got home, it was just all black people. And so after getting ousted by the Latino group, I kind of found my way into some of the black folks in high school. And then it was people who were passionate about choir. I sung, and that then became like my squad. You know what I mean? I found where I was. My dad starting to transition at that point to like turn his life over to the Lord, become a pastor. So I was like, cool, this is like a little angle. So I started hanging out with the gospel choir folks. And then at the same time, starting to have an appreciation for fashion, like Ye starting to pop in Chicago.
I was gonna say, what year is this?
Like we're talking 2005 to 2009. So Ye started doing his thing.
Pink polo,
we talking double collar polo Ye. So now I'm like walking around with a pink polo, Lacoste, Le Tigre, whatever you had here that was like different than everybody else's. You were like on it. So now I'm starting to get into fashion. Like I went to high school with like Joe and Terrell. So like Joe Fresh Goods. So like it was a competition now. So now I'm like, okay, if mom's gonna give me shoes one time a year, what am I gonna do? Like, cause again, if she say no, like, are you just gonna go to school or just only having one pair of Jordans, and you're gonna
Right.
try and make it happen. So I started like trying to find ways to make money.
Yep.
And that was through. I never worked like at a McDonald's or nothing. I ended up finding like a corporate gig that was paying me to be a youth advocate. It was called Kids Without Guns.
Wow.
So they found just some fire people around the Chicagoland area that could be youth advocates to advocate for nonviolence amongst youth. So it's like peer-to-peer mentoring. I was like, I could get with something like
And
that.
you're doing this in high school.
I'm doing this in high school, and I skipped grades. I'm like 12 years old.
So you're younger than the kids you're trying to convince.
Understand what I'm saying.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And it just came out of a passion for fashion. Wow. I was like, come on, I'm getting in my bag now.
Yeah, you host it right now.
And it came out of a passion for fashion. And so when I lined up my group and now I'm doing gospel choir, you know, I've always been an extrovert. I started stepping in the theater. Now I'm doing, you know, the lead actor in all of the stage plays. I'm getting into fashion. So all the cool kids mess with me. The basketball players mess with me. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just Charles. And I didn't have to fit into a box. You know what I'm saying? Everybody just kind of accepted me for the nuances of who I was at that time. Like, I still liked NSYNC. I still had that. But now I'm starting to understand, like, all different other cultures and vibes, because it was such a super multicultural school.
You're navigating.
You just had to find your niche. And high school was very important, but I was not a good student. I was not a good student. I was more concerned with trying to get some money from work, trying to be a cool kid, trying to be accepted, trying to be fashionable. I did not do what I was supposed to do in terms of my grades at all.
So you're learning life in a different way.
Yeah.
You know, so like in high school, and I can say the same thing for me in high school. It was never about school to me. Like it was always about everything else. Like what was happening, what was happening outside of school, before school, after school. I played sports, but it was like I didn't really care about the classroom. So you're doing all these things. So you're building social currency. You're building what the kids call clout. You have all these different things working for you. Then now it's time to go to college.
Yep.
What is that process like for you? Because even with high school, like not concentrating on your grades, you were a genius, right? You were an academia genius.
Absolutely.
You skipped grades. So I'm sure like adjusting to not doing so well in school was probably a bit of a shock for you.
Yeah.
What's the college process like for you?
So for me, high school was all about being lazy. I knew I was smart. You know what I'm saying? The test scores were what they were.
Yep.
And then I had to come up with a narrative in order to get into college. So, you know, I had my heart set on going to FAMU. That is where I wanted to go. I wanted to go to a HBCU.
Yo, you want to
let me give you a hot take. I want to be a Kappa.
Oh, man. It's not really that hot of a take. It's not really that
what an accident that would have been.
We would have accepted you with open arms.
So I was just like, you know, my counselor's like, bro, like, what's up? Like, you know, these colleges need to hear some sort of like understanding like that you're gonna go here and do what you're supposed to do. And so I got like a saving grace, high potential kid who was not focused, who, you know, had his head in a whole bunch of other stuff, like 15,000 activities, but you got a 2.5 GPA. Just like, why? Like, that's just silly, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, not focusing on what you came here to do. And that was at that point when I was like, when I get to college, I'm gonna focus on what I came here to do. And the saving grace was the Posse scholarship, where they gave me a full ride, effectively, to go to one of the schools in their network. You go as like a 10 peer group, where you could be the support system for one another while you're at that school.
Okay.
So I went through Posse. It's like 3 rounds. It's super competitive. 1,000 students apply, and they pick 10 to go to a particular school.
Wow.
So that school that I got chosen to go to was DePaul, and the person that submitted me to Posse, because you have to get nominated by like a teacher or something at that point, was my theater teacher, and the person who like led all the plays. A shout out Miss Handley. You know you my heart.
Shout out to Miss Handley.
And she was like, your grades are abysmal.
Yep.
I really think that when you get to this next level, you're going to like, it's gonna all make sense for you. So I'm gonna push you and really write something up to make them think that you have what it takes. And so I went through the process, killed it, and I got selected. And I was still like, nah, I don't want to go there. It's free. I want to go to FAMU. My mom was like, yo, you going where it's free.
Right.
You going to DePaul.
Right.
And that was the best decision that ever happened to me, was going to DePaul University.
So when you say DePaul, right? I
with
know
a W,
Chicago.
with a W.
I was going to say,
Clarify
I would
that.
think DEPAUL. That's not the school. It's DEPAUW.
DePaul.
And that is not in Illinois.
Not at all.
Where is
Indiana.
DePaul University?
Greencastle, Indiana.
Where the hell is
in
that?
the middle of nowhere. So you go to Indianapolis, you make a right, go 45 minutes, you'll run into DePaul.
Jesus Christ.
In the middle of nowhere. Liberal arts school, 2,500 students approximately. But the craziest thing, it was like the most percentage Greek school in America by capita. So like it was 2,500 students, but 75% of the school was in Greek affiliation.
Wow.
To some degree. Like the Kappa Kappa Gammas, you know what I mean? All the white frats, black frats, everybody was in a fraternity pretty much.
So you get to Greencastle, Indiana.
Greencastle, yep.
Which
Well, I've never talked about this before. This is crazy.
Bro, we go
I'm
there.
just saying, you go somewhere like this is hot takes, y'all. Like literally, I've never told people this. Let's go. Keep going.
So
keep going.
you get to Greencastle in Indiana.
Yeah.
Respectfully, the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
And you're a social butterfly.
Absolutely.
From Chicago.
Yep.
A major American city. What was the first culture shock you experienced when you got there?
People from New York.
So you met people from New York.
Yeah. So one extra layer.
Okay.
So the Posse scholarship for DePaul specifically, it was a dual city school.
Okay.
So the same type of people that I was, high potential, leaders, yada, yada, they picked 10 from Chicago.
Yep.
This particular school, they also picked 10 from New York.
Wow.
And threw them in the middle of Indiana
Wow.
too. So when I talk about culture shock, and my parents got us around, went to Disney World before, we went to church conference in Toronto. So we've been places, but it ain't been in New York.
Right.
So I met these New Yorkers.
Yep.
I got my double pop polos. Folks got the leather with every patch of the basketball team
Jeff Hamilton
seen
leathers.
with the tins. I was like, yo, these boys is wild, bro. I'm like, no disrespect. I thought I was swaggy. You know what I'm saying? I had my little bob, but I was like, yo, I need to be more like that. That was culture shock, bro.
Yeah, it was different.
That New York energy was absolutely different.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, oh, I was scared to go back home. It was like I got exposed to something that I had never seen before, a confidence, a vibe that honestly I had never seen before. And I love Chicago. I love the way Chicagoans are. Chicago still is a little bit country. We were Midwest and that Southern pull. You'll feel like, oh, Chicago's so homey. These people are so cool. I felt that New York energy. Like homegirl, still one of my good friends since day, Amber. We were on the same floor, second floor, Lucy. First week of school, she come out, heading to her shower. I come out, heading to class. I'm just chipper. I'm just like, hey, good morning. Good morning, Amber. How you doing? She looks me dead in my eye, New Yorker. Turns around, just goes to the shower. Like, why are you talking to me at 9 o'clock in the morning? And I was like, yo, these people are different, bro. So it was a culture shock to like learn about people outside of like that Midwest bubble. And just the way people carried themselves, the way that they presented themselves, the way that they wore their clothes, it was just like all wild to me. And it was just like a great opportunity for growth in that regard.
So see, that could be intimidating to people, right? Like you leave your home for the first time, you meet something that you've never met before, people that are not like you, like you at all, and people not like anything you've seen. So, but for you, it piqued your interest even more, and it made you want to know more. It piqued your curiosity, if you would say. So now you're in school. How are you going about meeting people, building community? Like, what is it? Are you just still being the same extroverted Charles? And you're just meeting people from all over? And how is that? Like, how is that process?
Yeah, so I mean, just being the same extroverted person. I will be honest, like I took a liking to like that New York personality, that New York energy. The girl that I dated at the time was from New York. My best friend was from New York. The person that made me want to join Alpha was from New York. And I was just like, yo, I sound like I'm from New York now. I was just like, it just really was. It was just a taken to, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't intentional. It was just like the people that I aligned with, the people who I felt like had crazy ambition. And I didn't even know the first thing about an investment. Like nothing about finance whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? These people are, oh, you got to get to Lehman Brothers. You got to get to Barclays. These are the companies that pay the most on internships. Like putting me on game, bro. And I was like, yo, whatever I got to do, I'm hanging out with these dudes. And that's just kind of how I, started to shift and kind of propelled like the rest of my life,
Yeah.
having that interaction with those New Yorkers. If they did not have a dual city school and I met all those people from New York, I genuinely don't know how much my life would have been different.
How different your
if
life
I
would
didn't
be.
meet those New Yorkers.
So you're in this small, we're now going to call it, it's graduated from the middle of nowhere to a small gym of a place in Greencastle, Indiana. You meet these people, and we'll just say that the energy is aligned, right? So and you're attracted to that, you're gravitated towards it. It's growing you as a person. You finish school, and now it's time to jump into the real world. Is your mind already made up? Like, yo, I'm going to the city, or are you entertaining offers from all over? Like, what's that process like?
So
for you?
I had multiple internships at investment banks. You know, it was like college was still humble. Like I went to college at 16 years old. You know, and I have a little brother and a little sister, which is absolutely wild.
Crazy.
I have a little brother and a little sister. You know what I mean? They had me and my brother for help. They had, you know, two-parent household growing up, and they were just like not doing right. And I'm like, bro, you understand? I was like 16, like on my own, doing internships in New York City, like. I need more from y'all. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go too much on a tangent, but that was how it was. And in college, like I had this Honda Accord that broke down. You know, I didn't realize like how much life could shift. So my mom, like I said, always had multiple jobs. She got laid off, but before she got laid off, she had bought my brother a car. So I just had the expectation, you know, I'll take his leftovers, but when it's time for me, you'll get me a car. And it was the saddest thing ever, her not being able to get her second son a car after she was able to get her first son a car. But it really put me in a situation. I was like, yo, I don't want to have to ask nobody for nothing. Like, I'm 17 years old. I've been working since I was about 12, 13. I never want to feel this pain again. I can't even imagine how much it pained her, but for me, it was like, yo, not going without was just something that I never wanted to experience. So I got internships. That was the only thing that drove me into finance was the fact that it was the highest paid internship that was offered. And I said, I don't ever want to experience not having no money. So I go into finance. I go through 3 years. Towards my senior year, they have this thing called campus ambassadorship program through Teach for America. I forgot the exact campus campaign coordinator is what it was called. So that was another hustle on campus to get students to apply for Teach for America. They paid me for that.
So it was like an enroll program.
I had the Lehman Brothers internship. I'm just trying to get money from everywhere. I ended up getting an offer from Teach for America after I already got the offer from the finance bank. And I was just like, yo, I really feel like I can make strong impact by going to Teach for America route, but my heart was set on getting the money. So I turned down that opportunity with Teach for America, and I just followed the finance, and then, you know, we'll get to, you know, how some stuff shook there, but I just want to talk about that crossroads that I chose the money over what I thought was probably a better opportunity for me, for my skill set. And I said I'll never do that again.
And you bring us to a very interesting point, right? Because it's always, there's always the question, even now, like money, passion, right? Money, passion. And you made a decision that probably 95% of the people watching this would have made. And as you're doing that, like, because you have needs, right? Like you need a car, you need a place to live, you need to finance, you know, what you want as far as like clothing and going out and all of that stuff. So you get into finance, and what is the culture? Is there a culture shock there when you get into it full time? Is it like something that you got into and you're like, holy shit, like what is this like? Or was it something that you kind of already knew from your internship?
Well, because I interned there before, I kind of knew the whole landscape, knew kind of how to finesse. But it was an interesting year because I was interning for Lehman Brothers, which is a U.S. bank, fire, a vibe, hella black people, and then they went under. Obviously, 2008 was a crazy recession. Crazy year. So they extended the offer at Lehman Brothers. Then they went under, and then Barclays Bank bailed them out, and then bad press not to hire your internship class. So Barclays honored our offers, even though they had their own internship class already. So I went from working for a U.S. bank to a British bank. And the whole vibe shifted. Now, the good news is it was 3 black people in that internship class at Barclays Capital. One being my homegirl, Melissa Butler. Another being Ashley Miller, super Ashley Russ now. Shout out Ash. I'm sorry I did the maiden name. Ashley Russ. And the third being Shireen Barnes, who is my wife, Shireen Kuykendoll. So, you know what I'm saying? I was...
To say we're going to get into that too. But
get into it,
what a fucking intro.
Bro, like 3 of the most popular black women. It's only 3. It wasn't a lot.
It wasn't a lot to pick from, but it was the cream of the crop.
It was a powerful group.
Man, sip to that. Sip to that.
Cheers to the black woman.
Sip to that. And so you get into Barclays Capital. Yeah. You're in this internship program. You're still young Charles from Chicago.
Yep.
Now you're in New York.
Living in New York. Yep.
First, what was the biggest difference from Chicago and New York to you?
It was the pace and it was the ambition. Like, you know, Chicago, we got cars, we have a train, but you know, a lot of people drive and that sort of a thing. New York, everybody's always on the go. And if they have nothing to go to, you would never know because they're moving at a pace that seemed like they literally going to meet with President Obama. So it really made me say, yo, you got to get on your game. There's no slacking. Ain't no more 2.5s. Ain't no more none of that. You got to be on it. You got to come to bring it every single day. It's no excuses about what's happening at home or you having a bad day. No, you got to be on because there's somebody coming to take your spot. And those, I mean, they push. It really pushed the ambition part because I'm like, New York is just like a different energy. It's a whole different vibe and everybody's like about it. So.
And what is your social life like at this time? Is it all about work because you're locked in? Or are you still being extroverted, Charles, outside of work, trying to do the happy hour thing?
Not initially. Okay. Shireen tells the story now because I'm a little bit different these days. But at that point,
just a little.
I was a house potato. You know what I'm saying? I stayed in the house. My best friend at the time, he was always outside. So he would invite me every now and again. But I wasn't the one out on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Like I was at home, I was cooking. This is why my food's so good now. I was experimenting. So I was just chilling. So it was not a super crazy social life. I love New York, but I wasn't like going out like that.
Got it.
First few years living in New York.
All right. So you have this job at Barclays. You're starting to build your career. You're starting to build a professional network. But then you eventually do start going out. In the midst of this going out, you had your relationship situation. You were doing these things. So then you start going out, and you and your friend group at the time, you guys are hitting the town. You're doing the New York going out. Like you figure out that clubs are popping on Tuesdays.
Oh my God,
clubs are popping on
Greenhouse.
Wednesdays.
Shout out Greenhouse. Jesus
shout out
Christ.
the Greenhouse.
Oh my God.
Man, shout out to One Oak up and down. The Derby, for those of you who were outside back then.
The DL. You know what I'm saying? Like every day. People upstairs on the roof. Oh my God.
It was a time.
Turned into a moment.
So you're doing that. So now your social life in New York is climbing. And that's a different type of social life.
It's absolutely different.
How are you balancing the social life and your because you're determined. Like anybody who knows you knows now that you can be out until 3, 4 in the morning.
Absolutely.
Be up at 7 doing what you got to do. Is that where you started building that type of stamina, if you will, and like that, just that type of drive?
Honestly, no. It kind of came, back in college. I mean, college, I'm a frat boy. We're doing college parties. We're going crazy. I did not let my grades slip. I did not let my multiple jobs slip.
Party hard, stay out late.
You know what I'm saying? My girl at agency recruitment, because agency's a wild time. We'll get to that in a second. But she was the admin. She said, yo, if you go out with the boys, you come in with the men. And that's like the methodology that I live with probably from, 18 years old. It was like, bro, I don't care about, I'll have the most fun in the world. But when it comes to my job, when it comes to what it is that keeps me able to provide for myself and my family, I play no games with that. I approach it like it's, like it's work, like it's business. I'm here for business. I'm here to kill. I'm here to win. And that's just it. All the fun is the fun, but I do not let the fun affect the business.
Ever. And that's admirable to have had that mentality way back then and still carry it with you. And it's
but again, it's like the Chicago stuff. It was like, it was the moments of like not having to go without. That I was like, I never want to experience this.
And
again.
that feeling was your driving force. It still is your driving force to this day. And we're going to break off of the timeline piece because I feel like we're going in a very timeline kind of way. So you're at Barclays.
Yep.
You meet Shireen Barnes.
Wow. Can I put perspective on it?
Yeah.
About 5'7", about 160, just a style. You just like, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Chicago, like I said, we know about
how a certain type.
We didn't know how the cultures work. You know what I'm saying? Like light skin, red bone. You know, Twitter name Red Bone Ring. I was like,
still to this day,
like energy of. I was like, yo, these New York women are different. I'm sorry, keep going. I have to set the stage.
So to give them some context, because we're gonna just do this as if people have no fucking clue who we are.
Wow, this is different. We're giving y'all hot takes, please, because people don't even know your relationship.
Shireen is one of my best friends. Has been one of my best friends. I want to say since about 2006. Ish.
Oh, I know that was a wild time.
Yeah, we were having a lot of fun. Like one of my best platonic female friends of all time. And Shireen, at this time, when you and her started working together, me and Shireen were going out every weekend.
Every week.
In New York. And we were hitting the spots. And Shireen was a hot commodity. Still is a hot commodity. A taken hot commodity. But she's still a hot commodity. And so you meet this woman.
Yeah.
You gave us your first impression of her. Did you know immediately that, like, yo, this is somebody I want to be with?
It wasn't initially. Like, initially, it was just physical. I was like, she's stacked.
She's fine.
Like, stacked, fine, don't even make sense.
Yep.
But it wasn't until we started working together. So that's 2 years. So it was a rotational program. Each year, you go to different jobs. So we met that first, intro month as a grad class. Then you go into your respective roles.
Yep.
So 2 years, we were in completely different work locations, complete different jobs. And then at the end of the second year, when they do your permanent placement, we end up getting placed in the same job.
God. That's God.
So that's God. Complete wild. She was commuting from the Bronx all the way to Jersey City. That's like an hour and a half in train ride. She did not want to do it. She did everything to try and cancel it. And then ultimately, her mom was the one that was like, yo, who knows what your blessing is out in Jersey City? Like, just do it. Just do it. When you talk about your blessing, let me tell you what her blessing was.
Talk about the blessing, King.
I want to make sure you zoom in. You zoom in right when you talk about that blessing. I'm sorry, be that as it may.
This is so good.
Be that as it may. We were in Jersey City working together, and we both are like hating what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're hating what we're doing. So when you talk about when it started to shift for me, she was like, I hate it, and I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to take every moment that I have. I'm going to study. I'm going to do my GMAT, GRE. I'm going to get accepted to a master's program. I'm going to pivot into human resources. I'm going to change my life. I was just content. This is more money, if not, than my parents ever made in their life. It's stable. I know I can, buy the stuff I need. I know I could travel to a little Puerto Rico if I want to. Cool. I'm good. I hate it, but I'm good. And she was like, I'm going to do something about it. So I knew I didn't want to go back to school, but it was her that was like starting to motivate me to be like, yo, why am I content with this? Why am I content doing something as a career that I'm not passionate about at all? You know what I'm saying? Just doing it for a check, like literally living for the 15th and the 31st. And the 31st fell on that other week. You got the extra weekend where you just like, damn, I can't even do nothing. Bro. So that was when it really started to hit me. I was like, as I tell people now, I was like, yo, Shireen was an adult. Like when I started experiencing the counter, I was like, yo, this is an adult. And I need to like try and be with somebody who's an adult because they just gonna change my whole way of living, my whole way of thinking. Your credit score gonna change when you're working with an adult. So it was just like crazy as a friend, just like getting that game from her. Shireen got game, bro. And I was like, nah, I need that game in some other realms.
And some other things. You need other aspects of that game.
And so that was when it started to like really, really shift. And I was like, yo, let's see what that could be if you open to it.
Yeah. So, man, you said a lot there. And there's so many places that we could go.
We got time. We got time, man. It's a lot of wine left, bro. It's a lot of wine. We talking right now.
And even though I've heard a lot of this,
Yeah.
this is still great for me to listen to and learn and just see where your mindset is. Because I think that's even what we want to talk about the most in these things, just like mindset, right?
Yeah.
So you come out of what you come out of. You continue to progress and make it. You meet a woman who changes the trajectory of your life.
Change the way I think.
I want to talk about now that mindset and that trajectory. So now you're popping.
Yeah.
Right? You're
somewhat. I'm somewhat popping.
You're popping in comparison to what you were and what you thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're popping.
Unquestionably.
So I want to talk about, again, you have this job, right?
Yeah.
You have this career, but then you have other passions. You don't like the job.
Yeah.
What drew you? You were in a fraternity. You were in college. You threw parties. You did these things. But New York is a different beast.
Different beast, different animal.
What was the first moment for you in New York of bringing people together or throwing an event where you were like, oh, I can do this here too?
Yeah. So I had like a network of homegirls. Shireen, so we start dating. She goes off to her master's program. I'm living downtown Manhattan. And then like I found like a group of homegirls that were like from Chicago. They all met in New York, but all from Chicago. We did scandal night watch parties. I was like the dude off Girlfriends. So I hung out with a group of girls. Everybody was envious of me. These are still my friends. Everybody was like, yo, Charles, always with a woman. That's because I met these women 10 plus years ago, and I was the only dude that they let come. And from there, we were like, yo, let's get like a taste of home. Like, let's do something homey. And so I threw a mild sauce brunch at my house. So we fried us some chicken. We ordered some mild sauce from Chicago, got it delivered, had some French fries and made it just like Harold's would make it. And then just had some of our friends in New York pull up, and it was just like a whole vibe at the crib. So that was when I was like, yo, like I just enjoy hosting people. I enjoy people having a good time. So that was when people were coming to my house and, you know, just enjoying that. Secondarily, my brother Jarrell, he was like outside. He was. And so when I did go with him, I'm just having a blast. But I just can't, it's not in my nature to be too cool. And you had your New York pocket where people were too cool. And you had your New York pocket where people was like in the middle of the party
turning up,
raging.
Right.
I was that person in the middle of the party, jumping up and down, getting videos sent to my wife, like, yo, look at your a girlfriend at the time, look at your man. You know what I'm saying? Like people walking up to me, I see you, you're Shireen boyfriend. I was like, whoa, y'all gotta relax. I'm just having a good time. You know what I'm saying? So I realized like, yo, like people are drawn to that. Like people are sending videos all the way to Indiana of me having a good time. People enjoy seeing somebody have a good time. I didn't realize you could monetize off of that at that point, but I was just going, every time I wanted to have a good time, I would just go with Jarrell and we would just go rage at somebody something. And a video would get back, or I would see it on, you know, not probably not even Instagram at that point, but like Facebook, like, oh, somebody would comment, because you couldn't even like tag people. Somebody would comment, oh, this is actually Charles. And I would see myself dancing, standing on the table, doing whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, people like to see you have a good time.
And that rings true to this day. Like I said, nobody parties like you. Like nobody, like even like beyond you just curating, like I would just love to hang with you, and probably just the energy is just always there. And like I said, you're rich in spirit. You show us that constantly.
Thank you, bro.
And I think for as many people who love that, there are people who don't.
Absolutely.
And we're going to talk about that. So you have your work life is your work life, which we're going to get back to because we want to talk about pivoting and transitioning. But you're experiencing different levels of kind of people and how people feel about you, and like seeing you on your way up, having fun and doing these things is great. But then you start to build your own things. You start to throw your own parties. And how was that experience for you in New York?
You know, when I actually started doing R&B house party, I got to give credit to the person who made me do it. Like it was twofold. I was getting ready to go to Taco Tequila and Trap. That was my boy
Shout out to
Jarrell
Jarrell.
Stain. Had it going absolutely crazy.
Yep.
1,000
Stage
plus
48.
people a night. Like, it was just wild
Stage
time.
48.
And my association with him allowed me to have, they just got this meme was like, oh, were you standing in the VIP all perked up and somebody else,
Oh, yeah,
somebody
when
else
you
bought
got the
him?
DJ.
Like, yeah, this me. It's my shit. And I was like acting like that because it was my best friend's
Yeah.
party. So I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
But that same energy that I was bringing to other people's parties, I was bringing to his parties and just like raging, standing up on stuff. I never overstepped. I never asked, like, yo, let me get on the mic. Obviously, I felt like I could do a good job if I had the opportunity, but I was like, that's his. And I never wanted to step on his land. I wanted to be a supportive friend.
Yep.
But there was one particular night, Shireen's at my house. We long distance. We don't have that much time to spend together. And I was like, yo, when you come to town, we're going to hang out Friday. We're going to go on a date. We're going to chill, watch movies, do whatever. And then that Friday night, we do all of that. We land down. The parties don't start till like midnight. I'm talking like 11 p.m. to 4 a.m.
That's such a different
Oh
time.
my God, I can't do that no more. I don't even know how we did that.
I can't stay up till midnight.
God, they gonna get food and you were home in the sunshine.
Like, eating terrible after the party, like cafeteria, eating all type of crazy shit. Man,
what's the oh my God, I don't even want to go there. It was like it's a food, the not calzones, but like the little
empanada mama.
Empanada mama. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So you understand the vibe I'm creating here in New York City.
A lot of y'all wasn't there.
Some of y'all was
like
not
a lot
outside.
of people who talking about they run New York wasn't
they was
there.
Not outside.
They weren't there. They couldn't get in.
So this particular night, we go on our beautiful day. We're at home watching the movie, getting ready to go to sleep. I'm like, babe, I'm not going out. I'm not going out.
Yep.
9:30 come around. Bring, bring.
Let's go.
Text message. Bring, bring, bring. I'm ignoring it. Nah, baby, I ain't going nowhere. Then you make that mistake and unlock the phone. And it's like, message. Are you coming? Are you going?
Yep.
Are you coming? Are you going? Are you going? And she sees this over my shoulder and was like, bro, like, they coming for you. Yeah. Like, why do they care? And I was like, no, I'm not going, babe. I'm not going. I said, I should probably go, babe. They want me there. Yeah. And she was like, bro, they're coming for you. You probably need to be doing some stuff. Jarrell's getting paid very well from this. You get nothing. You go and you losing money from our household. I got ambitions. I want a ring. I want this. I want that. You going out spend your money to hang out with other people. Like, I don't like that. So if you want to just go out and have a good time, chances are you need to be doing something yourself.
That you can
because they're coming for you.
Yep.
At least this group, not the 1,000, but it's a group that just want to see you there. They want your energy.
You have a community.
And so I said, yo, if I get the endorsement, I think that's wild. Yep. I don't want to host parties. It's not my lane. I'm nervous. That ain't me. But let me talk to Jarrell about it because that's his lane and he's okay with it. We'll do it.
Yep.
So I talked to him about it, super supportive. Now, the thing is, R&B house party was something that I did in college.
Yep.
So we threw an R&B actual house party at the Alpha House after I was president. Everybody was doing Stroll Fest. We got the whole state of Indiana to come to our school. Everybody strolling. Nobody dancing with girls. Chicago, it's like basement party culture. You just dancing on walls. You listen to R&B. You listen to
Gene stains on the wall.
Not be named person who's also from Chicago, who has a catalog of things we would have listened to at that time.
Nasty
can't
man.
play no more.
Nasty man.
Not interested. But be that as it may, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was how Chicago was. So I was like, yo, this is not the vibe in college. I appreciate being Greek. I like strolling, but if a slow song come on, I don't want to be strolling with no dude. I'm trying to be dancing with a girl.
Loving up
so we
on
did
something.
a house party in order to get that vibe back.
Okay.
So when we come to New York, I'm like, yo, I want to do parties. I don't want to step in your lane. I ain't trying to do no trap. I don't need Future play once. Maybe a little bit. Maybe do Future one song. But I want to get that R&B vibe. That's the vibe that I like. That's that Chicago vibe. We could go a whole bunch of different angles and just really like bring people together. He was supportive. And I was like, yo, I'm still kind of popping in Chicago, right? I mean, still kind of popping in New York. I got my transplant pocket. My wife didn't even want to hang out with me because she's like, you hang out with transplants. I hang out with my New York friends. I'm not interested in hanging out with your transplant friends. So I was like, yo, if we do this.
So sounds like Shireen.
Like, if we do this, I need you. Because I don't know if there's enough transplants to like fill a room.
Fill a party,
So I was like, yo, let's do this together. Let's do R&B house parties as a couple. If you down to do it with me, I would do it. Because I was scared as shit to do parties. Do it with her. We market it. It's a picture of me and her dubbing as the flyer. I'm actually bringing that back for 2021. 2021 5 year, I'm bringing that flyer back. It's me and her dubbing as the flyer, R&B house party. And we had a tagline. It was just like the way parties used to be or something. That's what we called it. Underbar, Harlem. Probably like 50, 60.
115th and 8th.
About to say about 50, 60 people max.
Yep.
They said they would give us $5 a head for people who showed up. within 30 minutes, complete pack, turning people away at the door. And if they tried to get in, they were like, you got to do like a $75 bar minimum. Just put in the contest like 5 years ago. That's a lot. People like, yo, you juicing it, bro. $75 bar minimum person to get in there. And I was when we was like, yo, we have something.
So you see that?
Hell yeah, I see that. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I'm in New York City and filled the room. That's, as a Chicagoan, as somebody who's not from there, that was still to me the most surreal thing I've ever experienced in my life. Like, people came for me, people came for us. That was wild.
So I was gonna say, you see that, and then that's on a weekend.
I was on the weekend.
You got to go to work on Monday.
Got to go to work.
What was that day at work like for you? Were all you were thinking about was that party?
I was on a high. Yeah. I was on a complete high. I was like, yo, like this nirvana of that level of fulfillment, accomplishment, all the planning, all the aligning, all the getting everybody in place. And when you just have a synergy, you know what I mean? You got the right DJ, you got the right host, myself. Like I had people reach out, like, I want to host your thing. I want this. And I knew, I was like, no. I want to be the host of my party.
Have to.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I even had some other thing. I was like, no. I feel like I can do this better than anybody else. I know what the vibe I want created. Nobody's gonna be able to deliver that better than me. And I had some growing pains. Shireen said I was a horrible host initially.
Everyone starts horrible.
You know what I'm saying? She's like, you're talking too much, you're doing, you're singing over the song. Like, let them live, know when you plug in. But I was like, I know I want to be the host. So we started there. We had the right team in place playing the right music. And I was like, yo, if all this comes together, like this is the best feeling in the world. And if I'm getting my fulfillment there, you know, then the work is just gonna be the work.
Then so you can tolerate the work. And there's also something there's some connectivity between like the work you're doing, right, on the professional side. But now you're building a brand. And you're building a brand from nothing. Right, like you had the house parties in college, but that's college. So you're building this brand in New York. It's you and your girlfriend. What were you able to take anything from what you were doing professionally that helped you build your brand? Did you have other people to help you, or were you kind of just figuring everything out as you went in the beginning?
Well, I was figuring everything out as I went, but also like I had a sounding board and a guy, Jarrell, who literally was having 1,000 people every month. So I was able to like sit and watch. Like I said, I was not involved in the business. So I saw like what I thought was the to-dos and, to my opinion, the to-don'ts. You know what I'm saying? Like I saw like, okay, if we do every single month, there'll be months that's not strong. I'll see if we do holiday weekend, that could be crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I was just taking notes without even knowing I was taking notes, because I was just going. And so when it came to mine, I was like, yo, I want to scale organically. Like I don't want to go too big, too fast. I want the right people in the room. So if that means I got to comp you to make sure that you're there. And then your energy is going to bring something to the party that's intangible, that to me is value. That's more monetary than you paying. Than having some other person get $20.
That's better than
so 20, I was just like, I want to be strategic about the time of it. I want to be strategic about the vibe of it. I want to be strategic about the people that I invite, and then like really try and understand how to turn this hobby into a business. And always from Chicago, I'm a transplant. I actually get in New York. What I did not realize at the time of building something in New York is that all my Chicago people looking at that like, wow, this dude's doing it in New York. And so I was able to probably skip steps that a lot of people weren't able to, because I was able to start to capitalize that on a whole different city. And I said, touring. That's how you do it. That's how you keep from doing 12, 13, 15 dates in one city. Is you go to other cities.
Other places. And
so I had an easy in for Chicago to at least make it a dual city up front type of a situation.
So you're doing that. You're touring. You see. So now you're realizing the power of your network. You're building a business, but you're still working, and you have a high level, well-paying job. Was there ever a point?
It wasn't that well paying at that point.
Everything was relative.
Everything's relative. It was very well paying for 2016. Yes.
So you're building this business, but you have a job. Was there ever a point for you when you considered, and I've always admired you for this, that you never just went full time into R&B house party? Was there ever a time you considered it?
I absolutely did, right? Okay. Like, you know, as I made career transitions and, you know, I didn't even talk too much about like from when I left Barclays and decided that I wanted to pursue recruiting.
Yes,
Which is
I was going to try to tie that in, but but
do you
you
want
can
me
take
to go
us
there?
there.
Okay,
You can
let me take us there. So in leaving Barclays, Shireen went back to B school to get into recruiting. I said, I'm never going to do that. So I need to find like a conduit job that's going to be like the propeller to get into recruiting. I took a job at Ernst & Young. Again, one of the best things that happened to me. My best friend Dora, that's where we worked together. And that relationship like flew from that point. So, but I got laid off 6 months into that job. It was like, so I had 4 years at Barclays, 6 months at Ernst & Young, laid off to the date. And it was at that point, I was supposed to be able to travel to see Shireen. I always had money. You going back to like the story that I told you when I couldn't get the car. That was the last time I went without. Now here I am, 23, 24, looking at going without. Like I have an expensive apartment in Manhattan. I'm living the life, that finance life, suit and tie, Charleston with every day. And I'm like, Dad, I have nothing. Like, I have not saved. I have not done anything. I've never prepared for this. I always thought it was going to just be going like that. And it's just like a quick drop to the bottom. And so that looks like me moving out of my Manhattan apartment, moving to Brooklyn, having a roommate, having a shared situation. That looks like, hey, do I want to go back into, this finance space that I hate? Do I want to try something new? And I told that interesting story about how I chose to go to finance over Teach for America for money.
Over passion.
I had that same thing happen when I got laid off. And I was out of work for 6 months. 6 whole months. I had no money to my name after about a month. Doing unemployment. Like when I tell you I've done it all, I have done it going to the unemployment line.
So you're doing the $400 a week.
Bro, $400 a week, food stamps, like stuff that I've never even, like it was crazy. And then you add on a layer, my girlfriend is at a complete different city, how we making that work. It was a complete rough time.
So
my
struggling.
bills piling up, I'm struggling. One thing about her is not a relationship podcast, but like she held me down. Like she was, as a girlfriend, paying my important bills on her credit card, trusting that I was going to do right by her. You know what I'm saying? Like using her credit card while she don't have a job. She's like a student in school to pay my bills. That's wild, bro.
I'm getting emotional.
And I mean, I'm trying not to get emotional. Like it's important to put into perspective.
But that's
like,
a part of
it's a part
how
of
you've
all
built
of this. You know what I'm saying? It's a part of all of this. And so that's why I talk about it so freely. I don't want to skip over that. But when we get back to that crossroads where I had to choose, like, hey, do I want to go back into that finance space that I hated or take a chance on this new space that was going to pay me less than I had ever made in my life? Not even my internships paid this low. So you're talking about me making less money than I ever even thought imaginable to get the opportunity to become a recruiter. And I talked to my brother, same guy I told you, had always had his shit together, always on top of everything. He was like, bro, if you do something you're passionate about, the money will come. And I thought about that instance with Teach for America. I was like, yo, what is it like to follow your passion? Like, you know what it's like to not follow your passion, to follow the money. You don't know what it's like to follow your passion. So let's try that. So I had opportunity to go into finance and make dang near triple what I was making as a recruiter. But I was like, yo, let me try this recruitment thing out, see if I have what it takes. So I went into that. And honestly, the rest has been history. It has been a professional trajectory that I could not have even fathomed over a very short period of time. We're talking between 2015 and 2020, going from entry level. We're talking going from entry level to a director in 5 years because it was something I was passionate about, something I was good at, and something that just came so naturally to me. Like I don't want to gas myself. Like I feel like I have a gift with connecting with people.
And I was going to say, why recruiting? Like what was it about recruiting that you were like, this is me?
It's the connecting with people. Like there's no greater joy to me on this earth than giving someone else an opportunity to change their life, change their family's life. And that's what I'm doing every time somebody gets a job. I cannot count how many people I've given jobs to. Even when I was doing agency and like, I needed to know how to pay my bills. I was like, yo, you gotta take this job. So I got stuff to do. But even from back then, it was just like, there was no better fulfilling than hearing, yes, I accept it. It's just like, it's nirvana, bro. And so just like giving other people that opportunity, to me, is just like, it's the best thing ever. So that is like what drives my professional career and what made me say, even as my parties and my business or my side hustle turned into a business starts at scale, I was like, I don't want to lose that. That to me is not work. I spend a lot of hours doing it, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of strategy, a lot of data. I could get into the shit if you want to talk about the shit, but it's just like, I still don't care because it's like, it's something I'm so passionate about. So now I have the most passion-focused career that I've ever had while having the most passion-focused side hustle business that I've ever had. Because I love all the things about party. And I love everything about what I'm doing professionally.
So people would say that you have the best of both worlds. Which technically you do. But there's two sides of every coin, right?
Absolutely.
And that is an exhausting fucking life. Not to mention as you're building this, you're now married. So you have another person to always consider. How was that? And you've given us so much backstory on Shireen so that we know
a little bit about her personality.
That she's going to drive you. She's going to be supportive if it's for the greater good. But how much of an adjustment, or not even an adjustment, just how hard was that with now you have two full-time careers. You're building a brand. You have a full-time job a job that you're passionate about. You're married. What is balance like for you in that?
Man, balance was tough, right? And I always, I live on my Insta story. I love it. Before that, I was living on Snapchat. I love sharing like my life with people. Like I just enjoy it. It's my own reality show. If you do not follow me, you losing out at Beloved 1906. Follow me.
It's going to be at the bottom of
You might not be close
screen.
friends, but you will see. Like I literally live to just share my moments of my life with people. But for her, it's the non-Instagram moments. But in that point, like we knew we were going somewhere. Like she's so career oriented. We met at work, so we know we both ambitious people. I'm trying to build this business. I'm trying to do this, and like she's always been like such a super support mechanism for me. And that's multifold professionally. Like she has her own career. She got her master's. She was working at Coca-Cola, then was working as an AVP at Bank of America, heading the VP. Anybody in finance know you want to make VP. That's the title that you want.
Absolutely.
She almost there, and then out of nowhere, I get 2 offers because I'm like, I want to get into tech. I want to get in tech, and I got a job at Facebook and Google. Both complete different locations from her job. Austin to Google, the Bay for Facebook, and she, being as selfless as she was like, yo, forget my career. Whatever you think makes the most sense for our family, I'm down. Not to mention she's 8 months pregnant at the time.
Lord.
So that's a whole nother podcast.
I'm back emotional.
That time, you know what I'm saying? We can talk about blind faith, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But that's the level of support that she had, you know what I mean? But it came from seeing this kid at 20 years old that she sat with at Barclays Copper, like, yo, I feel like this dude got something. And so she always pushed me to that. And now to answer your question, like I had to put that context on it. Now we live in the Bay, the party's growing. I'm trying to do all of this. I'm not getting the brand support that I want. And I'm like, babe, I want to go on like a tour. Like I want to do like 8-10 cities, like I'm gonna have to use like our savings account and fund this myself. I believe in it that much. It's one thing to believe in, you know what I mean? It ain't gonna cost you nothing. There's nothing to believe in
and
it
put your
when
own money
you're
up.
going to not have no money if this don't go right. And she was like, yo, I push you to do this. I believe in you. If you think this is the right decision, you do all of the pre-work, you do all the analysis. Shout out Cam McCullough. This is somebody that I was calling during that time. Like, bro, am I making a mistake? How should I pivot this? What did you do here? And that's what I'm saying. People don't want to lean on nobody. Everybody want to be arrogant and do it themselves and not like do the due diligence. So I spent time, before I spent all of our money, I spent time and did the due diligence talking to the people who I knew were successful in the space so I could try and figure out how best to do this. And I self-financed like an 8-city tour, built my listserv in multiple locations. And some were like not that great. Some were phenomenal. And those learnings really set me up for when the brands came. I said, oh, I've already done something in that city. I have the following in that city. What do you need? Just just bring me in, we got you. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So it was like being able to take those type of leaps of faith will really like will propel my business to being where it is, you know, pre-COVID or now,
Yep.
whatever the case may be. But I have it tatted on my chest. It says faith without works is dead. That's a
Yes.
Bible scripture.
Yes.
And for me, it's just like, yo, I have the most faith in the world. Like,
Yes.
faith-based person. My dad is a pastor. I
Yep.
love the Lord. I talk about the impact that having that baseline has done for me. But at the same time, I'm going to put in the work. I'm not just going to have, you know, they say that mustard seed faith. Faith the size of mustard seed. I have a lot more faith than just a mustard seed. At minimum, you need mustard seed.
Yeah.
But I had a lot more faith
you're like a
than
mustard
that.
field.
But I'm going to put the work in with the faith.
Yeah.
And then see where we land. And she supported me through that. And so we were able to, those efforts, really scale our business very, 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 very quickly.
So we have a man who, from the beginning of this, right, we have your familial situation. So you saw your mother do what she had to do to get it to get you guys what you needed. You had your father who was present. in every step of the way. So that propelled you to a point. Then you meet your wife.
Yep.
Who empowers you
that's a good word.
in a completely like to another level, right? So now we have the man who sits with us today, who is highly successful on a professional sense, highly successful as a businessman and building your own family man through and through. What are you most proud of?
This is actually easier than I took the second, but it just hit me like, bro, like the number one accomplishment for me always and forever, and I go back to that familial thing, is like, yo, if I have nothing, if I lost everything, man, I had Jesus and my family, that's all that I need. And before, you know, that pitfall, before that layoff, I was arrogant about it. I was, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, yo, in your face, I got my shit together. Before you even say anything, you see my business card. You know what I'm saying? That's how I identified myself. Now I'm just like, you know, whatever, I'm me.
If you know, you know.
You know what I'm saying? But it was just like, I needed that drop off because it humbled me in ways that it realigned me, it humbled me, it really put everything in perspective for me. So, you know, as I continue to grow, as things continue to just, honestly, it's been like this for me professionally, business-wise. That's over things since that moment. But like, it was so crucial to go through that. Because I've been there. I can relate to people. Like having nothing. Absolutely nothing. But what I did have is I had the love of my girlfriend. I had the love of my family. And so the most important thing to me is those same people. That you add the son to the mix, who bears my name.
Little Charles.
I'm never going to let them down, man. CJ, Shireen, my little brother, my little sister, my older brother, my nephew. So all that matters to me at the end of this day is family. So even though we're in a rough situation, you and I both, we can't do some of our passion stuff. You know, we can't be, you know, getting that energy from people. But I'm still good because I'm still spending time every single day with the people to me that matter most. So I'm good.
And that's A1. And like even in the intro, even though we were joking, you know, you are rich in spirit, and you're rich in support, and I think that has been such a big part of how you've been able to build your craft, and like that's what we're talking about. We've talked about so much more, but it's just admirable, bro, to see your journey. I know the story, but even things that I've learned, you know, tonight and listening to you, and things that I can take from my own personal learnings is like you've been authentically you from day one. You haven't been scared to take chances. You have support. So like those are things that like I'm taking away of like, yo, how did Charles build his craft? It's those things. And like you live fearless, you live for the moment. Chantel and I always speak about like, man, if only people lived life the way Charles lived life.
Shout out Chantel, what's up, since I see you, my G.
She's in the back. But we will always say, because like as soon as COVID happened, and we're gonna talk about where our space now lives. As soon as COVID happened, Chantel was like, damn, I bet niggas wish they was living like Charles was living. like not only living and basking in and enjoying every moment, but making sure he had the memories to do so. Now, talking about the space that we've operated in for years, which is the event throwing space, that space is different, to put it lightly, now. You and I had a conversation shortly after the pandemic started of just like, what the fuck do you do?
Yeah.
Like,
what are we gonna do?
like, what do you do?
Exactly.
Like, how do you, like, yo, and like you was like, yo, what do you think? What do you, and like we saw, respectfully to other entities, they were doing like going live on Instagram and like, yo, just Cash App and do this thing
right now. You're stating facts, that combo.
And when we had that conversation, we were both on the same page of like, yo, I respect it. Yeah. That's just not how I want to do things.
Absolutely.
So you've built, you're huge on community, but you're as huge as you are on community, you are on the experience and what you're giving people. So you were able to pull off basically a virtual concert. And then you were able to do another through the partnership with Afrotech and Blavity. You did the Mario show. In the space that we occupy as far as live events and event production, where do you stand with it? Like, what do you think is going to come of it? What do you think it's going to be? Where do you think we go from here?
Yeah.
What's your view of where we are now?
So, I mean, I'll leave where we go from here in the hands of the medical experts. Like, I initially approached it in the circumstance that we'd be able to wait it out. Like, 6-month thing. And then I didn't really truly understand the gravity and the seriousness of it. I mean, I had it. You know what I mean? I got COVID-19.
Me too. I had it on my birthday.
So we've been there and it was like, oh, this is real. Okay, it's people's lives at stake right now. And so as an event planner, like, I don't want to put people at risk. So even when we did, the Blavity thing, we said, okay, it costs X amount to do open air, but we know that we should do open air. We're going to provide the mask. We're going to separate everybody. We're going to require temperature checks. We're going to require mandatory COVID tests and things. And so we were really just trying to, keep the vibe. Because it's nothing like in-person interaction. If we did this on Zoom, it would have been fun. We would have laughed. But there's nothing like sitting with your person, with your brother, with that energy. And so, I'm hoping that we can regain some semblance of that. Especially for me, I'm an in-person person. I am an in-person person. But if not, like, I always index on making sure people are safe and making sure, that to me matters more than anything. So if there's never another in-person R&B house party again, I hope that it's not. I hope that we're able to at some point, like, get some semblance back to how it was. Like, for me, I want, that legacy of what we built for 5 years of having organic fun, where it's like a safe space you could be yourself, where you could sing along as a grown 32-year-old man. Am I 32? Yeah, I'm 32. 32-year-old man to the top of your lungs, and nobody judges because everybody like, oh, he know the words just like I know the words. Now that can only happen in that safe space, in that church-like R&B house party vibe. So, I feel like we've done a lot. I'm hoping that we are able to continue, but if we have to pivot, if we have to get into more content, like the way that we produced the Mario thing, it was an in-person situation, but we produced it for virtual in a very cool and creative way. Like, that B-roll matters. Like, I'm down for it to just be you just staring at my big ass dancing, but I'm like, if I can intersect, if I can say, if I can intersect you know what I'm saying, like that, and you could feel the vibes of other people, you could do it in a very creative way. So there's a lot of different things, ideas that I have in my mind that I was just trying to hold off on and kind of wait for COVID. But I have a brand, I have a crazy listserv, I have a way to engage and touch people, and people just need to hear from me. People need to hear from the brand. And, earlier this year we did it in a way to kind of give back. You know what I mean? We did the Give Back with Bridget Kelly and John B. raised $12,000 in 1 hour, and we just gave the money away to people that was in need. You know what I mean? And even if it's more along those lines, like, I need to do more, and I'm cognizant of that, and my creative juices are like flowing again. So I'm glad when you put me in spaces like this where I'm just like, yo, I could be doing something. You know what I'm saying? So I'm ready to get back. I think 2021 is going to be crazy for us.
Well, you've definitely never been scared to pivot and to shift. And I see the future of what we do as a hybrid, right? Like, will we still be able to throw events and feel that in-person energy? Well, to the magnitude of what we were able to do.
Different magnitudes. You were Barclays Center. I was like Barclays Capital.
We both have connections to Barclays.
Yo, you're nuts.
But But I think like what you're doing, and you've always been, like I said, not scared to pivot. And I think your specialty in connectivity and just like bringing people together, it doesn't get lost behind a screen. It doesn't get lost, if it is a Zoom or something of that nature. So like me just knowing you and knowing, again, the support and everything that you have, you'll figure that piece out, and the business will only grow. Because the way I see it is, if you can never do another in person, you can reach more people. Because however you're bringing them, you can reach more people.
That's very interesting that you say that, because, as I look back at the 2020 that I've had, you look at 2016 through 2019, Charles' Instagram is just like, I'm so singularly focused on the success of my business. It's just like, all you see in this party, recap, on to the next party, recap, on to the next. You did not get a lot of me. You got a lot of me on the couches, but you didn't get a lot of me as the person. And this year I was forced to just like, because I'm still going to be the same content king as they call me. Like, I love my Insta story. Make sure you follow. It's fun.
At Beloved 1906.
But this year, like, people did not see that party space. They just saw me with my family, me with my friends. And you know what? That's the same person that's at them parties. I'm literally exact same. And I just feel like my personal brand, despite follower count or whatever, has really like grown. People like have connected to me. It's people that DM me monologues and narratives and want my opinions on stuff. People want informational, conversations with me, whether it's about professionally or whether it's about the business. And I've been able to kind of speak to that a lot more, because I'm just not like so singularly focused.
I got to go to this city. I got to do this.
And, I've been enjoying connecting with people on that level. And to that point, I do think it's just only going to propel what happens after this.
It is. And I'm gonna quote someone who probably doesn't want me to quote them, but they keep telling me, because I've been going through a similar situation, and they're just like, okay, I'm like, the real like progress in your work and in your professional it's going to take off with all this personal work you're doing. And I feel like I've become personally a lot more, vulnerable, just like sharing a lot of things and like, just going on my walk in my personal walk in life. And I think like, you've done a lot of growing this year, and like you've been mature, you've been about yours and like things of that nature. But I think what's been cool for me to watch is just like the personal walk of Charles in this time, and like you just getting to be able to learn yourself even more. You know what I'm saying? Like spend, like you said, you're in the house, so you spend more time with your family and you figure those things out. So like, what's been the coolest part about this time down in this pandemic for you?
Yeah, I mean, I can never like get back the time of like seeing my son every single day before, schools open back up. Like, he was with me the entire day, interrupting my meetings. Like, when I'm freaking 50 and I'm looking back and when you was 3 years old, you used to come sit on my leg like, Dad, shut up. Like, why are you talking about this? Because those are the memories that's going to stick with me, man. And I was so all about providing for my family. I spent a lot of time on the road in 2019, completely exhausted. And I'll be fully transparent. Like, Shireen tells me like, everybody else got Charles Beloved, you know what I mean? And she gets some tired, want to lay around, not do nothing, no energy ass person. Because I'm giving that on the road every weekend. We talking working a full-time job, flying out Friday, landing very late Friday, having a Saturday day party. Then that ends at like 10 o'clock. You go out, have food, hit those same spots we talked about, Empanada Mama, 2 a.m. Then you have a 6 a.m. flight back home. You sleep, you wake up and do it. And you're doing that 20-something weekends. You know what I'm saying? It was
Half
good. We grew it. We made a really solid amount of money to be able to provide. But it's like, what does that mean if your marriage is going to shit?
Right.
What good is all that money?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what is that doing for you?
Right.
And so it was good to just like get re-centered and really be able to, again, like I'm able to balance it. And we are career motivated people, but I'm like, I'm never going to get to the point where my son is not having a relationship with me that I feel like he could have, or my wife's not having a relationship with me that she needs to have, because I'm just so like, I gotta make sure I see more. This is the first year ever where I'm like, money isn't everything. And from when we talked about the old narrative, 14 years old, I'm sorry, I'm making it like 15 years old, 16 when I wanted the car, couldn't get the car. I was like, I'm only gonna make sure I never had that feeling again. It wasn't until 2020 that I was like, yeah, money is not everything. I want to be comfortable. I want to have my family. I want to have my friends. And if everybody's good, everybody's healthy, I'm good. Like, I don't need it.
Yeah, and this year has been a blessing in that sense. I feel like for a lot of people, 2020 has made you understand exactly what you need.
Yeah.
And nothing more, nothing less, but exactly what you need. And while we've had other things that we've gravitated towards, like things that we thought were like the center of it, I think like just being able to really sit in our shit, sit with ourselves, sit with our loved ones, and just be like, oh no, these are the things that are important. That's powerful, and that's powerful for a powerful person like yourself. So, no, that's big. This has been phenomenal. I think
I've never talked about some of this stuff. I do this stuff.
I know
a decent amount.
I know,
but like you pulled from places that I don't go.
So and this was
a job. I gotta give it up to you. Your handcrafted. Look at that man's hands. It was crazy. Because I'm like, you don't let me go through a few different angles.
It's been so good because you and I talk all the time. And
all the time.
This is just like what I want to bring to these conversations is just that, like, because like, bro, you do 1,000 interviews, you do panels, like you get paid to speak. But here, I feel like there's just so much value in that natural conversation, the comfort that that we have with one another to be able to go there and like vulnerability matters, but this is the shit that people are gonna want to learn and to hear from. Like just. Like those things, like how you built your business is important, but who you were in the time that you were building that, more important. So like that's what Handcrafted is about. I thank you for your time. I leave you with one question.
Okay.
Because we've traveled. We went through your life. We kind of went on like a zigzag. We went up to the top floor, came back down. We didn't figure some shit out that I didn't even know. But so we started with 7-year-old Charles, right? We now sit with 32-year-old accomplished, living your wildest dreams Charles. I want you to go back to Chicago.
Okay.
To the house with the defecation on the back porch.
Okay.
And you're sitting with 7-year-old Charles. What's the one thing that you would tell him, knowing and experiencing all that you have now?
Whew. Jeez. Dad, that's a sensational question.
Thank you.
I'm sitting...
That's the only thing I had written down.
If I'm sitting adjacent to the defecation, I ain't want to be
No, you're not sitting in the shit.
I ain't want to be too close to it.
You're not sitting in the shit.
I'm setting the stage.
Not in the Balenciaga.
Where exactly are we sitting? Like you gotta put some context on it.
You're sitting shit adjacent.
I'm sitting next to 7-year-old Charles, and I'm telling him like, really, really, really lean into and like trust just being you. All of the ambiguity, all of the, things you're gonna go up against, the amount of fun that you have that people looked at 21, 22 and was like, oh, that guy might be gay. You know what I'm saying? Because you're fun and you just dancing. Like all of that, just let it live, bro. Because if you are you, there's nobody people connect to better than like you being your authentic self. And that means professionally, as I'm trying to extend offers to people. That means in my business, I have paid so much money to artists to come be a part of my party, only to realize after the fact that people just want to be with you. You understand what I'm saying? So just trust who you are, trust that family-oriented upbringing, bring that to your own family when you get there, but just be you. Everything else is gonna work out.
And that's one theme that I've been finding through all of these episodes is you are enough. How you are, like you are enough. And I think that's something that even as adults we need to be told even more. Is like, yo, you're enough. And just knowing that, because that's hard, because you experience so many different things. Like, you experience dejection, you experience ridicule, you experience jealousy, you experience all these things. And it detracts you from just knowing, yo, I'm enough. And like it's proven. Like you're here as you. Like you haven't switched up at all. So that's great advice. That's something that 40-year-old Charles may need to sit and tell 32-year-old Charles as you can experience different things. But just knowing that you're enough at every single stop is phenomenal advice.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yo, can we get a cameo? Can you open that door and let my boy in here? CJ.
Where's he at?
Come here.
We not holding you back no more. I'm coming.
We gotta get the young legend some FaceTime.
Yes, absolutely.
Come here, CJ.
You ready to come?
You gonna go to Uncle Cam?
You want to sit with Daddy or me?
As you guys can see, who his true favorite is. He hanging out with Uncle Cam.
Yo.
I want to make sure my boy got some FaceTime. That's gonna drive some views. Having
You want
CJ
to say something
in
to
it.
the people?
Yeah.
What are you gonna say?
Hi.
I can live with that.
But legacy, man.
There it is. That's what it's all
CJ,
about, man.
you are enough too.
We'll talk about it off camera. No, but bro, I appreciate this.
Thank you,
I
bro.
appreciate this space.
Yes.
I'm grateful for the growth that 2020 has had for you and you stepping out and doing all these other projects and like really elevating Cameron McCullough outside because you always been behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? This is you like stepping out from behind the scenes, which is like crazy. So you did not want to be seen.
No,
you know what I'm
it's
saying?
nerve-wracking.
So it's dope to like see you in this space. And I can't share enough. Like as I've been able to scale my business, you know, to like a 6-figure profit business, be able to provide for my family in ways that I never thought with a side hustle. The way that you allowed me to skip steps by just being open to sharing knowledge.
Yes.
And you said it to me earlier this year. You were just like, yo, people think that you're going to lose. How do you say it? I want you to say it right.
Just because you share something doesn't mean you lose it.
Just because you said something don't mean that
You
lose.
ain't never took a dollar out of my pocket.
They ain't take a dollar out of your pocket. You put me on so much game that I'm just skipping the shit on the back steps.
Yep.
I'm just like Euro stepping past that
Yep.
and was able to accelerate my business in years because you're just an open book. And I just feel like you need friends like that in your life.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? If you don't have a friend that can put you on game, hold you accountable, give you the game, help you better yourself, then that's not a friend. So I appreciate you for being a real friend. I appreciate you and Shireen for being outside in 2005 or whatever time y'all was outside in meeting.
About 2005 to like 2012. Before you took her away.
We was outside. I took you down.
I was gonna say we're gonna have the interview with her about the polka dot dress. We're gonna get to all that. There was a time. Like, yo, bro, thank you so much, my brother.
Yo, there's a bus here.
Yo,
Handcrafted, Cam McCullough. Now I'm hosting this. We out.